What is mindful healing and how can it serve you? We hear, see, and read a lot about mindfulness and inner work these days. But if you're anything like me, then it might take you a few years to peel back some of the layers of epiphany that seem to be in the way of your personal progress within this lifetime. To anyone who is too anchored in the 3D time-space reality that is our physical world, this will all sound crazy and way too out there. However, once you've begun your journey down into this rabbit hole, i.e. into your own inner landscape, more and more truth and inner knowing, some call this faith, but it's so much more than that, is revealed as we relearn and remember who we truly are at our core. A soul. Pure energy. The terminology used here is simply for clarification purposes and accuracy, not necessarily to give the impression that it's exclusive. It isn't. Anyone can work on themselves if they so choose, or that it's some mystical, magical thing. It is, truly, but not in the ways that you might think. Let me break it down for you in practical, no bullshit terms, classic Jen style. Well, first of all, there is a lot to discuss when it comes to mindfulness, self-awareness, and personal healing. For this inaugural blog article, I'd like to stay focused on the benefits of inner healing versus relying on someone outside of yourself to do it for you, or worse, on pills or other toxins to suppress the symptoms but leave the problem itself festering internally. I am on a healing path myself, and since I became aware of my spiritual awakening in September of 2016, I have literally had revelation after revelation come to me in waves of inspired writings, meditation, and other everyday actions and experiences that now, in hindsight, I recognize as nothing short of miraculous. Coincidences are never accidents, and you will see what you seek, meaning that you will see with your physical eyes whatever your soul's vibrational energy sends out into the universe that is then reflected back to us in physical form. The problem with this is that the majority of us human beings are operating this immensely powerful vessel without knowing what the hell we're doing. We have not been taught to introspect or be in communication with our soul, our inner being. So we grow into larger human beings whose brain, also known as the human vessel's main operating system, which is supposed to be controlled by the soul, but has been left on autopilot for many, many generations, decided to take over the vessel and is running the show. This is what I mean by the ego mind, the ego self, a self-created construct to assist us in translating and interpreting the physical reality we're creating, which has essentially been left in charge without question by our individual souls. And even that isn't a completely accurate statement. It isn't so much that our souls aren't questioning or crying out. It's that we, each of us individually, have stopped listening and accepted via conditioning that this one physical reality is the only reality in existence, which is false. Research the latest science about the multiverse and quantum physics to learn more. Rather than following our heart's desire, our soul's calling and mission, we do mundane daily tasks we often hate and dread, severely lowering our vibrational frequency in exchange for green pieces of paper that we ascribe value to. These materials don't actually have any inherent value, and have also conditioned ourselves into believing are the root of all evil, which creates cognitive dissonance, making it the perfect method for controlling the masses, as well as an easy way to suppress people who don't follow the status quo and build up those who are unconscious and therefore better at playing, all too often dirty, in the physical reality game we find ourselves in currently. The ultimate VR experience for the soul, so to speak. Just like any other machine or interface, our bodies and minds can be programmed through conditioning and experience. It is the discovery that this programming exists, The realization that we can completely and totally rewire our own brains, that is considered a so-called spiritual awakening. This is why we have things like neuroscience and muscle memory confirming these ideas. This is also why quantum physics and all things related are so important. And yes, it's a lot for the mind to try to interpret, especially if these are new concepts for you. However, it is only by beginning to peel back the layers that we can see the underlying programming, understand where it came from, forgive everything and everyone involved, and then accept and release any negative energy, emotions associated with that programming. By releasing these negative energies that only we can take responsibility for, and yes, this process can cause a great deal of emotional distress and chaotic life manifestations, we liberate ourselves from the shackles of false beliefs and journey into the freedom of the unknown. It is not meant to be understood only by the physical mind or brain. It is also meant to be understood by the heart, which has its own brain, by the way, and the soul. And until a person stops living only in physical reality, on purpose through inner work, that person will continue to believe that physical reality is all there is, even though this is not the case. Consider a few fun ideas here. The human eye is only capable of seeing, interpreting, an extremely limited amount of the actual color spectrum. The human ear can only interpret a very limited range of frequencies or sounds. All of our other senses are also limited as to how much they can interpret, and sometimes depend on each other to function, as in the case of the smell and taste sensory tools. Perception literally is reality. But what if our reality isn't all of reality, as our perceptive limitations might already suggest? What if the things we can't see are actually the most important to our happy and healthy functionality on all levels? Vessel to spirit, foundation to chimney smoke. Let's say you have a car that you drive. When the car won't start or dies on you in the middle of the road, where do you go to start fixing it? Would you look for a faulty spark plug or worn out fan belt on the outside of your vehicle? If there were electrical issues, would they be apparent on the surface in any other way than dysfunction? Pay attention here. The dysfunction we see in other humans is actually a manifestation of the neglect they have shown themselves, consciously or unconsciously, at a vibrational or soul level. This is why subconscious conditioning, cultural conditioning, societal conditioning, and so on are so detrimental to being a fully engaged, functional, healthy human being. The human body operates in a similar way, although much more complex. So complex, in fact, that we are still learning and relearning things on an almost constant basis. Just like spiritual awakening in an individual is a process of revealing individuated inner knowing, science is a process of revealing outer evidence to confirm this inner knowing to the unconscious masses, planting seeds that will eventually lead to more and more people waking up and remembering what their souls have always known and will always know. Mindfulness is the red pill. When we choose to be mindful of others, we begin the process of becoming aware of self and the world around us. Many of us have had some form of dysfunction in our childhoods, making us either hyper-aware or naturally numbed out over time through subconscious conditioning. However you were conditioned is what formed your most deeply rooted core beliefs. This is how we are programmed subconsciously, which then manifests itself as strange behaviors, addictions, self-sabotage, lying, and all manner of other behavioral habits that we perform unconsciously as human beings. The conditioning is subconsciously ingrained by people who are unconsciously conditioning us because they were conditioned the same way. Mindfulness is the gateway to understanding yourself, your soul, other people, the world, the nature of the universe, so-called gods, science you never thought you would comprehend, and much, much more. Practicing it is the act of consciously choosing to pinch the edges of the veil between your fingertips and start tugging. Thank you so much for listening. This is Jennifer Crystal Johnson, aka Jen. I hope you enjoyed this article. If you did, I would like to invite you to go on over to mindfulhealingpress.com and check out my new website. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.